Good afternoon, everyone. As we wrap up qualifying ahead of next Sunday's 108th running of the Indianapolis 500, Nolan Siegel will be on his way up. Obviously, the pole winner for this year's race, Scott McLaughlin, once he wraps up celebration down on the Art of Bricks. Will Power will be up momentarily as well. Joined now by Josef Newgarden, who will start third on the outside of row one for the Indy 500, driving course, number two, Shell Powering Progress. Team Penske Chevrolet, 233.808 miles an hour, his four-lap average. Second front row start for Josef at the Indianapolis 500 as he qualifies for his 13th 500-mile race here in Indy. And Graham Rahal, who will start 33rd, driver the number 15 United Rentals Honda for Rahal Letterman Landing and Racing, 229.974 his four-lap average as he will participate in his 17th 500. Graham, let's start with you. Thanks for being here early, by the way. Just your emotional, the roller coaster that you went through, unfortunately, for the second straight year here.
Yeah, I think this time around was a little calmer, probably just because been there before and done it. But similar sort of stuff. You're sitting there in the hour, you do your first run, and you can't run again. The way the rules are written, you can't pull out of your box. So you're kind of at the mercy of everybody else. And we knew Marcus was going to have to run again, clearly, and then we felt that he was going to have the speed for sure to get in. Barely bumped us, I think, less than half a tenth of a mile an hour. And so then it was all on just waiting it out with Nolan to see what happens. And unfortunately lost it. The first lap at a 29.2, we felt fairly safe. But it's never good to see anybody lose it like that. And Nolan's a young kid, he's got a bright future, as I said on TV, and I expect to see him back here and doing great things. So, but I've been there. Last year it still stings. It's not much better being 33rd, I can tell you that, but at least we're in the field and we're going to go racing.
And of course, Josef, congratulations starting on the front row for the second time in your Indy 500 career. Just your thoughts on a Team Penske sweep here to kick off this next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's a great day. For the team, this is a huge result. We've been working for this for the last 3-4 years. We've certainly not had an easy time in qualifying and, trying to regain the speed that we had lost probably since 2019. And, it's just been a nonstop effort ever since that point. And, we hadn't turned the page. And I think today is, really the first time we've turned the page. We've got the speed back. And it's a testament to the entire group. It takes it takes a whole year to find this. You don't find it in a week. You don't find it in 2 weeks. I mean, you have to take the whole year to show up with this type of speed. So really proud of the team. I'm sure they're over the moon and excited for the race weekend. It gives us a good shot at going for this race win together. We're going to be able to work together, hopefully, and have a clean day. But yeah, really, really proud. The shell car was fast and we're in position. So yeah, great day.
We'll go ahead and open up for questions in person. Madeline's got a microphone, so does Kieran. So Kyle, we'll start with you, and then Chris, yep, you're up next.
Graham, obviously you said it 33rd didn't feel a whole lot better than how you're feeling last year, but is there any sense of relief that came with today?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just not to do it again. It's we went to bed last night scratching our heads, a lot of questions that need to be answered and still do. We changed some componentry last night that we expect to go better, and we went slower today again, which is like the fourth day in a row of speed loss. Setup really hasn't changed. So it's not, you can draw a direct comparison. We can see it in the data. But unfortunately we've got to identify what the component is. And, there's not enough time even before tomorrow. So maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, we can really dig in and see what we find. But, look, like I said, I mean, we're in the show. That's all we can really ask for. And I thought, early in the week, last week, our race cars were solid. I ran with these guys quite a bit. Thought we were right there. So I just wanted a chance at it. It's all you can ask for at this stage. And we've got that. But I know how much it stings on the flip side.
So you do feel like the issues are solvable before the 500?
Yes. I mean, I think there's a clear fall off in drag coefficient on our car that we can see in the data. And I'm not going to go into how we measure that, but we have some pretty smart guys. that have come over and new this year. And the one gentleman in particular, he's been at Mercedes F1, Ferrari F1 team. And so he's really bright, and he's looked into it, and we can see the clear fall off in drag, or increase in drag. But overnight, what all do you do? I mean, we put on our road course gearbox, which nobody else I can guarantee is running. We just threw on some random uprights and we tried to make it work, but we lost speed again. First run of the day, 29.4, just not great. But yeah, that's the way it goes.
Thanks, Kyle. Obviously, also joined by two more drivers. Will Power, who of course qualifies for the middle of row number 1, drive the number 12 Verizon business, Team Penske Chevrolet. It was his third straight front row start at the NTT IndyCar Series here in 2024, fifth front row start in the Indianapolis 500. And Nolan, thanks also for coming up after your day today, driving the number 18 Dale Coyne Racing Honda. Nolan, we'll begin with you. Your thoughts on not making the show this year?
Yeah, super disappointed. Obviously. I feel like today we did the best we could do. As a team, I think, had the best car that we've had since we started this whole event. Those were the best 4 laps I think I've done. It felt pretty maximized, and ultimately it wasn't fast. Took a swing at it to try and find half mile an hour to get to where Graham was at. And, we were already on the limit of, the trim. So, I was gonna go home because I, went flat and did everything I could do. And, I wasn't gonna go home because I lifted. So here I am.
Yeah. And Will, we were talking about another Team Penske front row. Just your thoughts on that. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yep. I was pretty certain one of our cars would get pole back at Long Beach, like in the off season, to be honest. I just knew how much work we'd done, and pretty cool to get a front row lockout. I definitely like second place this year. It's just every single weekend it's either second in the race or second in qualifying. So I'll continue that for the rest of the year. Maybe I'll get a championship, and that'll be a first. So it's good stuff.
That's the plan. We'll just pencil you in for a second in Detroit next week or 2 weeks.
Yes, and qualifying.
All right, more questions for all 5. If you have a question specifically for Nolan, so he can check out of here too, that'd be great. But Chris, go ahead.
Nolan, in the garage area, crew guys and everybody are coming up to you, saying, great job, hell of an effort, everything like that. Does that positivity and that knowledge of everyone appreciating what you did and the applause of everybody out here in the grandstands, does that take away a little bit of the sting, knowing that you gained a lot of respect from everybody else here?
Honestly, no, not really. But I certainly appreciate everything that the team's done. We were in this together. They wanted it too. It's not like, I was the only one in this. They wanted it as well, and they worked really, really, really hard for a long time, to make this happen. So, big thank you to them. And, we were all in it together. They're not thanking me for doing a good job, or, everyone did a good job. I know that ultimately the result doesn't reflect that, but they worked really hard. So super appreciative of the effort that they put in. And we were in it together for months. So it's like a family.
And Graham, you had those issues earlier on. What can you list what was everything that went on? Because I think I missed one or two of the things. It was like a right rear wheel thing, or what else?
Well, yeah, that was a different mistake. But we were lucky, in practice that, I entered turn 3 and I felt the car shake. And I thought, well, I mean, maybe a gust of wind, although it was a pretty calm day, going down the back, I always check the flags. So I knew there wasn't a lot. Then I got to the apex of 3 and the car started to move around considerably. And I bailed out, but, we were lucky, that we were able to kind of keep it together. But, yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's already figured it out, but a wheel nut was left loose. And, you know, that could have ended our day right there for sure, or ended our hopes. And so we were lucky to get through that. But aside from that, you know, we've got a lot of work to do over the next couple of days to identify sort of what's gone wrong in the degradation of speed and performance of the car through the week. Because I mean, legitimately Thursday, at least in the Honda camp, we looked pretty solid from what we could see. Friday came out, had a really, downward sort of trend, and Saturday the same. I mean, even today went out first run, like I said, it was a 29.4 or something, which is the slowest we had gone by 2 miles an hour over Friday morning. Same setup, same everything. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but we just, we got lucky to get in, and, we'll go from there.
Again, we're trying to prioritize Nolan and Graham. Stevie, can you got anything for those two? Anyone else has a question for Nolan and Graham? Go ahead.
For Graham, thinking back to last year, you didn't get a chance in the final run. You had to sit there kind of defenseless, and it felt very much.
It was the same.
Yeah, it's the same. So I was just kind of curious, like, if any of that felt a little bit different in comparison.
Well, it never feels calm. It never feels good. At least this time I got out of the car and I could at least be on my feet to see the verdict of what was going to happen versus sitting there watching a tablet. But the way the rules are written for the LCQ it's not favorable to those on the bump. You can't move. If you pull out of line, you pull your time. You're not allowed to make the adjustments on the car that you'd like to proactively. You've got to wait to see and then pull. So you can change tires and put in fuel. That's about it. And so it's not a great feeling, and we knew Marcus was going to run. And as I said a bit ago, we expected him to have the pace because he has the whole time, at least of the four of us, to be there. And so again, then that leaves Nolan, one opportunity to go. And that being said, you can't run. I mean, he left with 2 minutes left. That's it. There's no time to go and to react. But like I said out there, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for Nolan. I'll put him on the spot here, but as I said on TV, he may be a new name to a lot of people, but he's a name that you guys are going to become familiar with. He's won at every level. He's won at everything he's done. He'll be here. He's going to be winning here. There's no doubt about that. He's young. When did I meet you the first time? Probably 10 years ago. He was much shorter than he is now. But he's a great kid. And to these guys will attest to it too, to have an accident like that midweek and to get the confidence to come back and just jump right back into the high boost and everything else. It's not easy at all. And to go out there and to do what he did today and what Dale Coyne did, they found a lot of speed over the last 2 days. And I don't think there's a lot of teams out there that can say they magically, found, I think, over a mile an hour on his car, couple miles an hour on Cat's. That's not an easy thing to accomplish. So tip of the cap to them.
And then Nolan, for you, obviously, this is gut wrenching on a lot of levels, but you're still also fighting for an Indy Next championship in the process of all this stuff going on. But over this 2-week stretch, running around practice, what have you, what do you hope that you've shown over the course of this month?
I wish we could have shown that we deserve to be in the 500. But no, we've had a difficult, really the whole event has been difficult, but we've had a difficult couple of days, and we pulled through it. And as a team, again, we did everything we possibly could. I feel like maximized the runs today. And yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. I guess I hope that everyone saw that we as a team did everything that we could possibly do.
Thanks, man.
Graham and Nolan, thanks for coming up under these circumstances. Appreciate you. Thank you. Nolan,
Thanks.
See you next week, a couple of weeks in Detroit. And Graham will obviously start 33rd in Indianapolis 500 a week from Sunday. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Nolan. Joined now, obviously, by Scott McLaughlin, driving number 3, Pennzoil, Team Penske Chevrolet, 4-lap average 234.220, which is the fastest pole speed ever at the Indianapolis 500. His second NTT P1 award of the season, 7th of his career, and has been talked about, front row sweep for Team Penske for the first time since 1988. Team Penske's 19th pole at the Indy 500 and 301st all told. Congratulations. You're going to celebrate this for a while, I'm assuming?
No, yeah, absolutely. But we're next week, but very proud of the group. I think it's our first front row sweep since 1988.
88, yep.
So, I think to do it now with, these two boys, but also, Roger's house. And I think we're all just very happy for Roger. It's been a tough few years, obviously not with at least with the Cole speed. Joseph winning last year was fantastic, but a lot of the objective was to bring faster cars, and I think we certainly have, obviously. So proud of the effort, and that was just a gnarly run. It was so cool, man, and really proud of everyone.
All right, questions for any of the 3 drivers. Steve, we left you hanging there for a second. Go ahead, thanks.
Yeah, all 3 of you guys, congratulations. Pretty cool. Since 1988 was the last time Penske was on the front row together. You've all said the team's worked hard in the offseason on your pace here. Can you maybe walk us through a few of what those things are? And did your new partnership with AJ Foyt Racing help at all?
It was a few things. The push rod was one. That was a gain for us. I was the only one in the top 12 last year that didn't have that. And that might be about a half mile an hour. Chevy worked really hard in the off season, so that was a gain. And then all the other little details we did, including, working with Foyt, was a little bit of it.
Either of you guys, anything to add?
Well, it's not one thing. I mean, look, like I said earlier, we've been working on this for the last 4 years, and every year we show up, we felt like, we've put in as much effort as we can. This must be a turnaround for us, and it hadn't been. So, when you go that many off seasons, combing every detail, they're bound to add up. And I think, we probably were still missing a couple things this last year. And when you compile a couple new things with 3 years prior of just stacking little details together, it's hundreds of items. I mean, it's a lot. It's not, there was one magic bullet. So it's a testament to the team. This is pretty cool that they were able to look, this is what Indianapolis is all about, is showcasing the talent of the team as a whole. It's every individual, I mean, we're driving it, and it sometimes is hair raising, but it is about the team and what they build for race cars, and it's a pride. It's a badge of pride, I think, for everybody in this garage that we have at Team Penske. They're going to be really proud of this one to have 1, 2, 3.
Bruce
Meyer with NBCSports.com. Will, it was Friday at Long Beach. They brought you in after practice, and you were so excited about Chevy power that you guaranteed a Penske driver would win the pole for the Indianapolis 500. You even went one step further and said, we might even sweep the front row.
Yeah.
Now, what was it all the way back in April that gave you that confidence that today was going to happen?
Well, everything we just talked about, the hundreds of little details that add up to speed around this place with this current formula. So, for everything. I mean, even the engine was a big upgrade from last year. We certainly struggled last year with, against Honda, and just all those little things that add up. It's crazy. It just blows my mind how many things you have to do to be fast here. To put it in perspective, if you put a standard Dallara that looks exactly the same as our cars and all the cars on the grid, it'd be about 10 miles an hour slower than what we run. That's how ridiculous it is. That's how much work you got to do to get to this speed.
Your IndyCar's all-time leading pole winner, but yet this is the one race you haven't won a pole in.
Yeah.
How much is that? Something that eats away at you a little bit.
I know. I just keep getting seconds this year, but I'm not sure I'll ever get this pole for some weird reason. I just think it's one of those things, where racing guys go, yeah, you can have the pole record, but you're certainly not going to get this one. So I just that's just the irony of life, you know. And it's not like I said yesterday, it's not the end of the world if I don't. It's just a box to tick. It's a good one. Obviously, the race win is much bigger. But the 2 days of qualifying is very stressful. It's, you know, you put a lot on the line, and it's really hard to have the quickest car in the quickest team on that year. To put all that together, it's a lot of things that have to align, and that's very difficult because you see every team, there's one car that just seems to be a little bit quicker for whatever reason. But I have to say that our cars have been the closest they've ever been. So it shows the quality control that we have. But yeah, second again, Bruce, I tell you.
We'll go
That's
Tim,
it. So
we'll go Tim May, then Joey, and then David Turner. I know you got one, and then Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, for Joseph and Will, I was just wondering, you know, a baseball analogy. It was like watching y'all, all three of y'all qualify. It was like watching the Yankees in the 1960s, you know, Sluggers Row. Would you rather be last at bat or where you went? You understand what I'm saying? Because how much faster can you drive if you does it really make a difference if you know what you got to beat, I guess?
Oh man, it's tough. I mean, I think if you're going to choose, you'd go last for sure. But you know, to Will's point, Indy is such a curious little place, particularly with the pole. You know, it is funny that he's the all-time pole winner and that he's not had a pole at Indianapolis. But I think it speaks a little bit to this facility. That's why, you know, for me, the emphasis really comes to the team, because to put 3 cars at that level of speed is incredibly difficult. I don't think there's another team in this paddock that can have their cars stacked as tight as we've had them. I mean, I can't tell you how difficult it is. There's always a little bit quicker car, and it moves up and down. One day your car's the quickest, the next day it's not. But to have them as close as we've had them is very difficult to do. So it's impressive. It's very, very impressive. The team should be proud.
Yeah. Will, is it like standing there, somebody shooting at you? What does it feel like to watch somebody else out there with that last shot?
yeah, it sucks, man. When you see the first lap, you're just like, as soon as I saw the first lap, I knew it was over. And I think that, you know, to me, if I was going last and I saw my run, I would have definitely taken a couple of steps of rear wing out because mine was extremely consistent. My car never slid. You know, I finished that and I was like, man, that was easy. So if I'm Scott,
we
like,
took 3 out.
yeah, that's what I told Dale. I said he went -3 because I said you could go -3 or 4 there. It was the condition was quite good. And that's basically what we needed in speed. -3, you know, 3 degrees is you know, around half a mile an hour. So yeah, that was the benefit. Like he was quicker in the 12 and you know, he was able to take that step.
Scott, when you saw 2:34.5, I mean, what were your thoughts on that first lap?
Holy cow. Just don't spray it. Just wanted to make sure I just brought it home. But, you know, look, we worked really hard to get a really good balance and in the fast 12. And I felt like my best run of the weekend was actually the fast 12. And I knew going last was going to be, you know, an advantage. And we used it and you know, to execute the way we have as a team. You know, it's just that's what's really cool. You see the time, and then it's all about just, you know, executing after that, you know, your weight jacker and figuring out, okay, what's the car doing? Then, you know, what you think the car's going to do the next lap. So you're playing with bars and weight jacker and trying to hold on to it. And yeah, and we've all have, but really working that this week and understanding it. And yeah, I was glad I was able to put it to sort of the test, you know, when it mattered the most.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joey. Oh, Chris, go ahead. You got a mic.
Will, if your wing, just to kind of piggyback off that last answer, had your rear wing been at -3, okay,
yeah,
would you have gotten pole?
It's just impossible to answer, but my run was comfortable enough to certainly trim. It was very consistent, hardly any drop off, hardly was sliding even on the last lap. So, you know, I don't know if the condition just got nicer from Ferrucci because we watched Ferrucci's run. It looked sketchy. I think he was at 0 or -1. So, yeah, it's just, man, it's just the circumstance it is.
If 100 is fully trimmed out and 0 is like nothing, no trim at all, like how close to the edge were you?
Yeah, I could have gone to 40 if you're using that spectrum, -4 because he went -3. So you would have gone one more step, but or -3 would have been good. It would have been bloody close, to be honest.
Joey?
You guys said that y'all have been at this, 4 or 5 years working out the details of things. I'm just kind of curious with that Foyt technical partnership, that's still relatively new within the team over the past year. I mean, how much did maybe that help provide a missing link, if any, to this?
It did provide just a little bit of information. Yeah. Yeah. It certainly wasn't a big chunk of what we have done here.
It was a confirmation of a couple of things.
Yeah. Just kind of
like it was.
Yeah. It wasn't like, yeah, we weren't missing a big chunk, just a couple of little things, as it is around here.
And then the second part is, I think I got to double check this, but it's like, I believe that last session started and the track temp was like close to 130 and it dropped down to about 122 when Scott went out for his final run. I mean, how much does 8 degrees of track temp really make a difference around here?
A lot. Like it really did. Like compared to my run in the 12 to then, like I just was solid, consistent, hardly slid. And I think Josef, even a run before, was a little worse. Like he was sliding a bit more, and then just that happens quickly. Maybe they should have the fast 6 in the heat of the day where the condition is stable, if you want to be completely fair. But it is what it is.
Thank you.
Time for a few more. David Turner, good to see you in person, not on a Zoom.
Yeah, it's nice to be here in person. Scott, I'm going to put this into a bit of Trans-Tasman speak so you'll understand it. You gave it a bit of jandle today, really, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. We just held the jandle down.
And then both mainly at you, this makes you the second New Zealander to ever qualify on pole for the Indy 500.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay. I knew obviously Scotty had.
Yeah,
I thought someone else had already.
I hope not. Got it wrong.
No, that's cool. Yeah, proud Kiwi, and absolutely pumped to be able to fly the flag. And I've always dreamt about being in the front row, doing the front row photo shoot tomorrow morning, and it's just a bonus to be on the pole with the New Zealand flag, behind me.
I was watching you come into the pit lane at the end to come up and know that it had all happened. What's going through your mind as you're coasting that car? And
I just want to get out of the car as fast as you can. You go back into the procedures and making sure it's all right, but at the same time, you're looking around and it's the first time you sort of enjoy and soak in the crowd. And I felt like we had a hell of a crowd here today. Around the banks and then even at 4 and down the front straight, it was incredible. So just soaked it in as much as I can. You just never know when this moment will ever happen again. Especially at this place, as the boys said, it's pretty weird joint. So but then when you get out of the car, you celebrate and we'll enjoy this, but it's hard work next week to make sure we win the big one.
And then I'm sure I'll pass this on to 2 people in Cambridge, Diane tonight.
Yeah, I got
emotion from them being there as well. That must run very high in the family. They've seen you take pole position at Bathurst, but this goes another layer again, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's a completely different kettle of fish. Bathurst 1 lap. This is basically 4 good ones. And I said to myself, I felt like a shootout at Bathurst, and I said that I've done this many times before. It's just a matter of nailing it again. And I felt like those 2 runs that I had today were some of the best laps I've ever driven.
Awesome job, man. Congratulations. Just quickly, Will, because I know it's been touched on, but you've said to me on numerous occasions, also on Zoom from Long Beach onwards, that this would potentially happen today, a front row shootout. Is this just sheer belief in what Team Penske are doing this year that gives you that confidence to be able to say something like that?
Well, it was just knowledge of what we were doing, what we have done over the last 4 years, and just a couple of things that went our way as well, such as, a better engine this year and a push rod thing. Like that's just a couple of things that went our way that the top 12 had last year. We didn't. So yeah, I was going to be shocked if we weren't on pole. I was going to be shocked. Like we would have been really scratching our heads with as much as we've done. Would have been scratching our heads. Like if we weren't on pole this time or fighting for it, we would have just been, what are we missing?
Well, congratulations to all 3 of you, Penske shootout. So well done, boys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Scott, could you hear the fans cheering?
When I turned the engine off and coasted down pit lane, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, each one of you guys. Eric, and let me know if you got to follow up. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Eric.
Speaking of going on pit lane, I was just actually curious seeing your emotion in the car before you came down pit load and did all the craziness. What was that last cool down lap? Knowing that's probably the last time by yourself before you celebration. What was that moment? What was going on in your head? Knowing that you just won the pole for the Indy 500.
Oh, it was cool. I mean, I said again, another thing I said to myself before I went out, I was like, I'm the last one to qualify. How cool is that? So I just went out and enjoyed it. And then that last, they said I can enter a 4 and whatnot, and that was just enjoying and what gave a wave to the fans for staying out so long. Hot day today, so appreciate everyone coming out. But it's just incredible. It's going to take a while to sink in. Super cool place to be on pole, and but like I said, the big focus is next week.
And when you made this move to come over here in 2020, I remember you talked about how challenging, how competitive you were in that conversation you had with Tim, and here we are a few years later, and you're an Indy 500 pole winner. Somebody would have told you in 2020, then you would be to this point. I know you want to win a championship in the 500 race, but what would have told them? Somebody when they told you that?
Yeah, I felt like I could do it. I feel like I believe in my talent and believe in my team around me. I'm very lucky to be able to drive for the captain to give me these opportunities, and the big part of me coming to IndyCar was to be a part of this race and to be part of the biggest race in the world. So, I'm glad I came to IndyCar. I'm loving every minute of it, and then to compete it with Team Penske and 3 good cars and good cars each time has been a lot. It's been a roller coaster, as everyone knows, my Indy 500 experience, but ultimately, there's only way to go up. You just can keep working and keep trying to get up the front, and we'll bit by bit we'll get there, and this is just the start.
Follow-ups, anyone? Otherwise, congratulations, front row start. Don't get too crazy. I practice tomorrow at 1. Thanks, guys. Once again, Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, Josef Newgarden, front row for the 108th running of the Indy 500.